And there we go. Night at 5. What to do when you don't know what to do, right? Here we go. You're on.
Hey there, it's Casy Kerr, and we are live, and this is Nightcap. I'm here with my guest and very good friend, Laura Willis, and we have a really cool story to share with you, something that we really think you're going to like. We're talking tonight about what to do when you don't know what to do. But before we dive into that, I want to tell you a little bit about who I am and what I'm here for, and then we'll talk to Laura and learn a little bit more about her too. So my name is Casy Kerr, and my business is findyourroar.com, and I'm talking to you if you are struggling in any way, in any area of your life, because you're not living up to your own expectations, whether that's in your business, your career, your relationships, your body, your bank account, your health, whatever, your parenting skills. If you are not living up to your expectations and you know that you have so much more in you, but you're having a hard time working through it and putting it out there, then that's what I'm here to help you with. And so I've invited Laura, my very good friend and client, here tonight to talk to me so that we can share some of this information with you, because we've each had kind of a crazy experience with it this week. And so if we're experiencing it, then I'm pretty sure that there are other people out there going through it too. And I have some stuff that can help. So Laura, tell us about yourself.
So I'm Laura Willis, and my business is Encore Revolution, and I love helping people to align their business with their passion or their passion with their business, and then help them to create a message to have massive impact. So my background and specialty is in brand development. However, more recently, I've been developing a process that combines brand development and more inner growth work to help people pull that passion and purpose out. And I like to say to people, I like helping people help people, because I really do love helping people that are trying to make a difference in other people's lives as well. And my gift is really to give them that voice to put it out there. So
yeah, and she does a great job with that. So this is such a crazy experience that I have to share it with you guys so that you have a little background here. So last week we did this show. I did it with a couple of members of my team, Astra and Nola, and we had the greatest time. We had such a blast, and right after that, we had a whole bunch of stuff happen, and so people were sick, and there were other things going on, and so everything kind of ground to a halt. And while we were, figuring everything out and working through some challenges. So I had no idea what I was going to talk about on tonight's show, but I had total faith and I had total belief that that something would come to me, that all I had to do was just keep asking, what is it going to be? What does it need to be? What's going to be really fun? What's going to be in my highest and best, and the highest and best of any of the people who come and find us or who stumble onto us and, who are brought here by whatever way. And I just knew that it was going to come to me. But I assumed that it would come to me by like Friday or Saturday when things kind of got back to normal. But still there was nothing, right? I still had no idea. And I said, all right, that's fine. This is the beginning of this show. And I believe firmly that, everything has a beginning, and that when we make comparisons of where we are now with what it's going to look like when we're fully evolved and everything is blossomed and we're future versions of ourselves, when we compare it to that, then that stops us from doing, from learning and getting better and practicing and developing mastery. And so I said, okay, this is my beginning. It's okay for me to not be perfect and not have an expectation that it's going to be perfect, but to have an expectation that it should be fun, because I feel like this is something I've wanted to do my entire life. And so even though we're in my living room, it's only two of us here, and whoever is out there now and who's ever out there listening to it later. So it's a beginning, right? But I'm doing it, and it feels really awesome. And so for the last few days, I've been in this real funk. Just didn't feel good. Like yesterday was like, you know, me and Johnny and even JoJo, we all had like melancholy where we just kind of didn't feel good. I felt the tightness in my belly, and, you know, it was like, oh, when is this going to go away? And so I thought, okay, well, I'll feel better when I know what I'm going to be talking about. And I kept asking for guidance, like I always say to. And I didn't think I was getting any answers. I didn't think I was getting anything at all. And so so I kept asking, and I just kept having faith that it was going to show up. And yesterday we went to the movies and we saw Hacksaw Ridge. And that is a movie about the first conscientious objector in U.S. history to win like the Medal of Honor, and there were a couple of really significant awards that he won without a gun. In war, he managed to save 75 lives in this couple of day period, and all the struggles and challenges he went through. And he had such strong, what I call BIY, belief in yourself, really strong conviction. And to him, it was not just believing in himself, it was believing in God and having faith and trust in God that he would always guide this guy to do what was right, and he would give him the courage and the strength to do that. And it was really just an amazing experience to watch, and it tore me apart because it was so graphic and violent. But the part that kept giving me life was that strong courage and conviction, that BIY. So I kept asking, and nothing was coming except for Laura's face.
Scary thing, right?
So I kept seeing Laura's face, and I'm like, yeah, you know, but I had this thing run through my mind that I was supposed to talk about, you know, something slightly different, and not exactly BIY, and so I was like, well, it doesn't make sense then, you know, like it didn't click with me. And so, but her face kept showing up, and I was like, you know, and I do this thing where I do a mudra with my middle finger and my thumb, and this is how I tap in for guidance. I send like a white ray of light up into the heavens, and I say like, hello, I have a question, can you help me please? And I can ask a yes or no question, you know, like, okay, am I supposed to do the show by myself tonight? Yes or no? I got nothing. A yes is like a tap on my temple from the inside out. And I said, okay, am I supposed to do it with other people? And I got nothing. And I was like, what's going on? It has to be one or the other, or else you're telling me to don't do it. Am I not supposed to do it? And I got nothing. So I was really like, what is going on with this? And then I reached out. I kept asking, and I reached out to Astra, who was here with me last week, because I knew that she could help me talk it through, because I knew this is in me. This information is there, and I'm going to access it. And so what do you think the first thing she said was? She's like, well, I think you should ask Laura. And I'm like, what? Okay.
So here I am.
So here's Laura. You know, and when I called her, and she laughed, like, thanks for the notice, Case. And so she said, well, tell me what you have in mind. And so why don't you tell them what you shared with me when I told you what I had in mind?
Well, Casey started to share that she was in sort of a melancholy mood, as she just said. And I said, oh, that's so weird, because I felt the same way yesterday. Like I was just feeling this weight, and like I was using all my tools that I've learned through Casey and other people as far as trying to shift my own energy, because I know that's where I really need to start no matter what I'm doing, you know. And I was a little down because I've, you know, had a little bit of a lull in business, although I've had things to do, but, you know, just feeling like there's something coming, happening, what's going on? I don't get it. And I've been asking too. And that was the other funny part. Like, I've been meditating, I've been really good about it, and going within and asking, what am I supposed to do? Am I going in the right direction? Like, give me a sign, give me a symbol. And I got nothing. So what I started to share that with Casey and said that, I had this melancholy yesterday too. And just this morning, I go to a networking group first thing on a couple of Tuesdays, and just kind of talking things through, we got into this conversation about fear and how it holds us back. And it kind of shifted me. It helped me to start looking at things and to move into another space.
Yeah.
But when Casey called, I was like, I was in this really, and I couldn't get out of my own way. I felt like,
and it's physical too.
I just felt like, it didn't manifest as much in my belly, but a little bit this morning, because that tends to be where my anxiety comes in.
Right.
But I just felt like I couldn't get my energy up. I felt like there was a heavy blanket over me,
right.
And I couldn't, lift myself up.
So what we're really talking about is a few different things, but the piece of this that for me is so big is that, I'm asking for guidance, I'm asking for answers, I'm asking for help, and you're doing the same thing. And because I wasn't getting, the signals in the way that I normally get them, I felt like I wasn't getting any information. And it reminds me, of this silly joke where this guy, refuses a boat, a police car, neighbors during a flood, and he gets up to heaven and says, "Why didn't you help me? Yeah, why didn't you save me?" And God's like, "I sent you a boat. I sent you a cop. I sent you how did you think it was going to happen?" But I felt a little bit like the guy in the butt of that joke. Like, I've been asking for the solution, and yet there were signs all around me that were pointing me in the right direction. I just wasn't expecting them. So your face, even the movie that I saw yesterday, because I was so deeply moved by, this man's belief in himself and in his conviction, and how it allowed him to just blast through so much of his own fear and doubt.
Amazing, yeah.
And I mean, you see this in the movie, and it's like, well, this is a movie, but it's a true story. And it's not a one that they took a lot of, poetic license with. It's pretty accurate as I understand it. And it was so inspiring that in the darkest, toughest moments, this human being was so strong because he was totally tapped into that connection that is just, whether that it's your highest self or God or, spirit or whatever you call it. I'm a God girl, so I believe that it's God. And I also believe that connection is my highest self, right? That's what gives me access to it. And so just knowing that it's in these moments like today where, I didn't get out of the bed until 11:30 because it was bothering me so much. And knowing that the easy thing to do would have been like, well, you didn't have time to prepare for a show. You didn't have a guest. You didn't know what you were going to do. It's brand new. You don't have a big audience. Just, blow it off or whatever. And I just kept saying, no, I don't know what the answer is, but I know it's going to be okay. And it's amazing how, as much as I can't wait to crawl into my bed tonight, and I can't, I knew the entire time that as soon as I sat down and started talking and doing this and being in my unique brilliance, even the beginning of it, where I'm not mastering this yet, and it's just the joy and, the momentum and the energy and how I feel, I knew that was going to be exactly what I needed to pull me up out of that space that I was in.
But isn't that the key, though? It's the knowing. Because sometimes I'll get that feeling in myself, like you said, that I'm going to be okay. And I just know, even in the face of all the crap that's going on around me, I just have this weird, and I don't have it all the time, but when I get it, it's like, it's just a calm sense of knowing. And it's like when we're asking, if we're going, please help me, like we're not in that place of knowing.
No.
So why would we get an answer when we're grasping?
Right.
Like that. You know, I mean, even just where our energy is around it, it's like we're grasping, we're not trusting.
Right.
We're grasping, we're not knowing. And that's the key word, I think, is the knowing, isn't it?
It is the knowing. The other piece of it, though, that helps you to like really develop that feeling, to really, nurture it, foster it, grow it, is by, like, it's not a coincidence that I knew that doing this was going to make all the difference for me today, because I love this. Like, this is an action and an activity that, I feel like, well, I keep saying it, I was born to do this. Like, even in my other career before I was Find Your Roar, I was a recruiter. And so I interviewed people constantly, where I got into these deep conversations, and I could get people to tell me stories about themselves that they don't tell anybody. And I'd have people around my office at different jobs like, how does she get this out of them? Because I'm so genuinely interested. And we've had enough conversations, to where we love to explore all of this stuff. So it's like, why wouldn't I want to do that and have as many people, who have the same questions as I do benefit from the answers? Like,
right.
Duh, that's what lights me on fire. So knowing that this is the activity that I plan for myself to share my message, because it's something that I fucking love to do. Sorry, I'm bleeping myself out. That in and of itself is energizing. If I had to go make sales calls to get myself out of this mood, can you imagine how?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely. Because it is
in.
so much about energy, and I do a lot of that with my clients now too. Is just to tune into where your energy is around your message, around what you're doing. Like, you want to do things that you love, and when you do things that you love, when you align with the unique brilliance, then that's when you get in the flow, and you can take more action, and more things happen and come in. And it's really, and you've taught me this, like, it takes less effort in the long run to do that. Like, our biggest job is to get in alignment with who we really are, and noticing, where's the fear coming in? Where's that negative energy coming in? Because other people feel the negative energy. Like, when we're not sure of ourselves, when we're not confident in what we're sharing, if we don't believe in the value, and we were talking about this today as well, then they sense that. So that's when we're not closing the sales, or we're not, bringing in those other clients. Because if we're in that place of even asking in desperation, then people sense that. They put up a wall. It's like they don't want to be sold to either,
Well, they're not, you're in a place where you're not trusting yourself.
Right.
And you're not trusting in them. And so that's the subtext that runs underneath all of this, is that when you start to trust in yourself,
right,
and you trust in them, and you also make the presumption that they're better off with you than without you,
right,
it's just a question of, what are they going to choose? And if you believe in them, and you actually hold that belief for them, and you let them feel that, then that makes them trust you, and it makes them trust their own judgment, which
right,
is the other big piece of it that nobody ever talks about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's all over the place for me in terms of signs this week that, that it's not just about you believing in yourself, which is, it's almost the most important, it's the most important thing that you can do. But it's also about you believing in them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm learning that with my son, and that's what, helped me to see. I had this conversation with a client who was having this problem with all of her employees. You know, she's got a staff of people, and they're all constantly stopping her and distracting her, asking her for help on stuff. And then she has to stop and fix all the stuff that they're doing, which then takes away from what she was going to do. And she doesn't always catch herself in the moment with this. So she's giving them her time and she's telling them what to do. But she's doing that because she doesn't trust that they know how to do it themselves. And she's not helping them to build that trust. And she doesn't believe, you know, in her ability to find the right people with all this. And I was like, okay, but what if you start believing in them and, you know, and start recognizing that when you believe in them and trust in them, that they'll start to trust in themselves, and that that's what's missing, and that you don't have that for yourself either.
Right.
So if you don't have it for yourself, you can't have it for other people. And that's true whether you're a parent or whether you're, you know, a boss, or whether you're somebody who's looking to provide services to another person, or in a romantic relationship. It's universal, right? And so it's not just about believing in yourself, although that's huge, but it's about believing in them. And it's amazing how the more you do that, the more it starts the momentum, right? And then it changes the way that you feel about things. And when that changes, then you're more open to doing the things that you're afraid of, and you're more open to taking risks, and you're definitely much more magnetic and charismatic because you're not caring about what anybody thinks about you. You've pushed past your own limits, and you're just out there now for you, expressing what you've got to express.
Right.
You're like living a much fuller version of who you are and the kind of life that you want to create for yourself.
Right. And it helps to create that connection with other people too. It opens the channel, because
they can't feel it if you're worried about what they're going to think of you, or if you're worried about, you know, what you're going to get out of it, and you're just not trusting and not feeling safe.
Right.
Then that connection with them doesn't happen on that deeper level.
Right.
What you say might resonate with them, but that'll be the difference between them going, oh, that makes so much sense. And that makes so much sense. Where have you been? I need you to help me. Here's my credit card.
Right. And
like, thank God I finally found you.
I know, Dr. Brene Brown says people, as human beings, we crave connection. So people are actually really looking for that connection. And it's like you were saying, like if they're not getting it from you, and if you're not that sure of yourself, then that creates that little bit of a wall, like you just said. They're going, oh yeah, I get it, but I'm not like excited to work with you, you know. And I see that too. I mean, we were just talking about it in my networking group this morning, the networking group I went to this morning, and how just that shift in perspective around you know, knowing the value that you bring to other people, and how can I help this person, and really listening to what they need, can totally shift from I need this client, or I need to get this piece of business.
So we're starting to run out of sand in our clock here. So or whatever the hourglass is. Mixed metaphors. So I want to leave you with some thoughts and some things that you can actually do right now where you are, to start creating that shift that we were talking about, right? So the first one is creating awareness of, you know, what it is that you're afraid of. What is it that you think, you know, might happen? What are you trying to avoid, right? What are those fears? And even if you can just name them, you know, that actually helps you to recognize how not how silly they are, but how much that it's like a possible future event. It's not it's not even a done deal. You got nothing to lose right where you are.
To gauge how realistic is the fear.
Yeah. And so, you know, so if you do that, and if you make a commitment, or if you do what I call invoking commitment to create awareness, invoking commitment is like a program override command, right? So if you imagine that the programming in your mind goes on and on and on and stays on the loop that it's on, you can override that by invoking commitment. And so, a simple thing that you could do is say, I am 100% committed to becoming aware of my behaviors, of my patterns, of my fears, no matter what, and no matter how long it takes. I add that no matter how long it takes, because for me, it reminds me, like, Casey, you might fall off the wagon with this a couple times, so that's okay. And then when I get to a point where I'm comfortable enough, I don't have to say that anymore. And keep asking for help, keep asking for solutions, keep asking, what is my next step? What am I not seeing? How can I do this? And really look around at everything around you and keep your eyes open, because the world does revolve around you. It absolutely revolves around you. Everything that happens can be a sign to you from God, from the universe, saying, hey, these are your breadcrumbs, So for me, having that insight with Jojo around, telling him I believe in him and using that, and seeing the movie where that's what it was all about, and then me not believing that I was getting the sign today. All of those things are all ways that when you don't know what to do, you can just ask, and you can just look around you, and the answer is always right in front of you. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to just trust it and give it a try, because that's how you transform it, and that's how you get to the other side.
And throw in a little gratitude in there too.
And throw in the gratitude there, just being thankful for
whatever
what you
show
have. Yeah, for any of it. Absolutely. That's the beginning. Well, I'm so glad that you guys were able to join us here tonight. This half hour flew by like nobody's business. So we would love to hear your comments on the Facebook page, and it's Casey's Nightcap on Facebook. So you can go there and share your comments and your thoughts with us, and we would love to hear your stories. What are you struggling with? Where do you need to believe in yourself? And let me know how I can help. All right. So I wish we had some wine glasses in front of us. So cheers. Thanks for joining us on Nightcap. Mwah.
You've been watching Casy Kerr's Nightcap here on New Earth International. And I know you've had a great time. I have.